Hi readers! So before we start the show, I have a quick ask. Will you pretty please rate and review the show if you like it? I mean, if you don't like it, well, that's your choice. But if you do like it, rating and reviewing helps other people find the show. So if you take a few seconds and hit those 5 stars, that helps. And if you take a minute to write something nice about the show, that will help even more. So thank you in advance. And alrighty, now on to the episode. Welcome to The Reader's Couch, a podcast that brings you lively conversations with some of your favourite authors and bookish personalities. Over here, the couch is always booked, but I've moved some books to the side table and fluffed some cushions so I can welcome a guest or two to come lounge with us. Today on the couch, we have Colleen Cambridge, a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author who writes across many genres. But she's here to talk to me about her latest novel and the first book in a new historical mystery series set in the home of famed mystery novelist Agatha Christie. Stay tuned! A dystopian novel to keep on your radar that blends fiction and history is You Feel It Just Below the Ribs by Jeffrey Cranor and Janina Matheson. Told as a fictional autobiography set in an alternate 20th century, You Feel It Just Below the Ribs chronicles the unusual life of Dr. Miriam Gregory. The novel describes how Miriam weathered the Great Reckoning, a decades-long war that strips her of friends and family and nearly decimates humanity. When the war finally ends, the new society arises. To ensure lasting peace, the new society adopts Miriam's technique to prevent tribalism, nationalism, and future war by requiring the total isolation of individuals, even those from nuclear families. The results of its implementation are devastating, and after seeing the harmful effects of her research, Miriam devises a secret plan to destroy the system from within, which in turn puts her own life in danger. You Feel It Just Below the Ribs by Jeffrey Cranor and Janina Matheson is being published by Harper Perennial, and books go on sale on Tuesday, November 16th. So get those pre-orders in or request a copy from your library. This is a thought-provoking dystopian novel you really don't want to miss. A collection of poetry to keep on your radar is I Hope This Finds You Well by Kate Baer. The author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, What Kind of Woman, returns with a collection of poems created from notes she's received from followers, supporters, and online trolls. At first, the darker messages and vitriol from online trolls crowding Kate's inbox resulted in an immediate delete and block. Until one day, Kate decided to transform the cruelty into art and create fresh and intriguing poems. These pieces, along with ones made from notes of gratitude and love, as well as words from public figures, have now become some of her most beloved work. I Hope This Finds You Well is a book of poetry birthed in the darkness of the internet that now offers light, hope, and empowerment by showing how we too can turn bitterness and what's ugly or painful in our own lives into something beautiful. I Hope This Finds You Well by Kate Baer is being published by Harper Perennial, and books go on sale on November 9th, 2021. So be sure to visit your local bookseller or library so you can get your hands on a copy. Again, it's entitled I Hope This Finds You Well by Kate Baer. Hi readers, welcome again to The Reader's Couch. I'm your host, Victoria Wood, and here on the couch with me is a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author who writes across many genres, but she's here to talk to me about her latest novel and the first book in a new series, Murder at Mallowan Hall. So please welcome to the couch, Colleen Cambridge. Hey, Colleen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited to have you on the show to talk about this new book and the start of a new series. Like, yay.
Yay.
Super excited. So, your book's available now on shelves. Readers can go and get their copy. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, like 12 plus, maybe 15. This book has been, it was just such a wonderful project to do. As you mentioned, I've written a lot of different books, but this was such a fun project. I loved every minute of it. The research, which entailed reading Agatha Christie books, all the research about everything about living in a large home in the 1930s. And the cover is brilliant. The narrator for the audiobook is brilliant. I'm just ecstatic that it's finally out in the world as of today.
Yay, I'm thrilled. I agree. The cover is so eye-catching. I love the blue, the typewriter. It has all those great elements. But I want readers to hear from you, Colleen. Tell us about your novel, Murder at Mallowan Hall, and what can readers expect going in?
It's a historical mystery set in the 1930s. I don't actually give a year. It's a mystery series or a mystery novel set in Agatha Christie's home. First, let you know that this is a fictional home of Agatha Christie. She had several homes, but when I started to develop this series, which will revolve around Phillida Bright, who is Agatha Christie's housekeeper, I wanted to develop a setting that would give me a lot of room to maneuver and have lots of dead bodies throughout the series and a large staff, which would be, the supporting characters. So I created a fictional home called Mallowan Hall for Agatha Christie, named after her second husband, Max Mallowan. So in this murder mystery, this very first one, Murder at Mallowan Hall, Phillida Bright, who is the housekeeper, walks into the library in the morning to open the curtains and finds a dead body on the floor. It causes quite a bit of consternation with the local constable when she calls to tell him, because he cannot stop laughing about there being an actual dead body in Agatha Christie's house.
I know, it's so wild. And immediately I thought of Agatha's, famous novel, The Body in the Library. What influence did that novel have on Murder at Mallowan Hall?
So this book is set in the early 30s. I don't actually give a year, as I mentioned, but in my mind, The Body in the Library had not yet been written by Agatha Christie. It came out in the late 30s, I believe. And so I decided to use some creative license and use this dead body in the library at this fictional estate of Agatha Christie to be a sort of catalyst for her to write this future book starring Miss Marple. So there's a little bit of an exchange between Agatha and her housekeeper, Phillida, about, oh my gosh, there's a dead body in the library. Who would have imagined? And the actual book, The Body in the Library, the dead body in the library in this novel by Agatha Christie is someone that nobody knows who lives in the household. It's just this person who shows up dead in the library. It's not like it's a friend or a family member or anything. So they're not even sure how this person got there. And so I kind of used that sort of same idea in this book, in that there's a dead body in the library, literally, and had arrived at the house party at Agatha Christie's house the night before. But it turns out he's not who he said he was. So in some sense, he is a stranger to them, just as the body in the library in Agatha Christie's book was. So there was some influence there.
Right, absolutely. But I want to know, Colleen, what inspired you to start this new series, to go down this historical fiction, cozy mystery rabbit hole to give us Murder at Mallowan Hall? What was the early spark for this novel?
I have to confess, it was not my idea. It was my editors and the editorial team at my publisher who had the idea, the kernel of the idea, the seed, which was Agatha Christie's housekeeper being an amateur detective and solving mysteries. How fun is that? And so I got the call from my agent with the suggestion from my publisher that I put together a proposal and try and develop the series for them. And as soon as I heard the idea, I loved it, because why wouldn't you? I immediately loved it, and I was able to develop a proposal that that my editor and the editorial team at Kensington loved, and so we're off and running. When I first started thinking about who this main character would be, this Phillida Bright, I wanted her to be someone who has background that would, make her a good detective. And so I had her have known Agatha Christie, obviously fictionally, during the Great War, where Agatha worked at the dispensary at a hospital, which is, by the way, how she learned so much about poisons. And I had Phillida Bright have worked at the same hospital as a nurse with Agatha. They were about the same age. They're both single at the time. They get to be friends. And it's that friendship that brings them together later when Phillida decides she wants to work as a housekeeper. And Phillida's reasons for taking on the role of housekeeper at Mallowan Hall are her own reasons. She'll be the first to tell you that. It's not really anybody's business but her own.
Exactly, 100%. So, like you mentioned earlier, Murder at Mallowan Hall has quite a large cast of characters. We meet a whole bunch of people outside of Phillida, Max, and Agatha herself. So, who was your favorite cast member in the novel? Again, you can't choose Phillida, Max, or Agatha. Or if you don't have a favorite, who was the most enjoyable for you to write?
I think I have a tie between two of them. I really actually had a lot of fun writing Mr. Dobble, who is the butler and who is Phillida's frenemy. They're in competition with each other. They're both the highest ranking servants at Mallowan Hall, and they have a very interesting relationship. So I had a lot of fun writing Dobble and his interactions with Phillida and her opinions about him. The other character that I really enjoyed was Bradford, the chauffeur, the surly chauffeur, who actually came on the scene quite unexpectedly, both to Phillida and myself. And he's turned out to be quite a main character and will be continued to be a main character in the series. So I really enjoyed both of those two gentlemen. And I like the fact that they're different from each other and they have a different sort of reaction to Phillida and yet some of the same.
And I love a good frenemy relationship, especially a working relationship. So I was here for that too. All right, Colleen. So we're going to shake things up and play a game.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so this game was inspired by the fact that Murder at Mallowan Hall is a murder mystery. And as a novelist, you've laid out clues for us as to who done it. And as readers, we are trying to kind of solve this case alongside Phillida. So instead of who done it, we are going to play you done it. Okay?
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Yes, it's called You Done It. So are you up for the challenge?
Oh, I'm going to give it my best shot.
Okay, so I'm going to list some murder mystery prompts, and you're going to tell me what you would do or what you would say, because obviously you done it, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what is your relationship to your victim?
It was my husband.
Okay. Did the victim share any secrets or suspicions with you?
Obviously he was my husband, so he knows all my deep, dark secrets.
And what was your victim's last words?
Not the eggplant!
What was your murder weapon of choice?
The eggplant.
The eggplant.
I beat him to death with an eggplant, but I actually clocked him on the head with the eggplant, knocked him on the ground, and then I finished him off with a bread knife.
With a bread knife. Okay. What would you do with the body now?
Ooh, well, we live on a lake, so I would maybe kind of see if I could heave it into a wheelbarrow and in the dark of night, bring him down to the lake. I would tie some cinder blocks to him. Boy, that'd be a lot of work. I'm not sure how people get rid of bodies.
I know.
They always get rid of bodies, and you have to think legitimately how they do it. But I'm certainly not going to dig a hole. That would be way too much work. I probably would take him down to the lake in a wheelbarrow, muscle him onto our little boat, and then take him out into the middle of the lake and drop him in. It's like 30 feet out in the middle of the lake. So, and I'll weight him down so nobody will find him.
So no one will find him. Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, what would happen, and this is going to be super interesting because it's your husband.
Oh, boy.
Okay. What would happen to the victim's last will and testament? Would you destroy it or would you forge it? Or do you have some other idea I don't know about?
Well, I mean, that's my spouse, so I'm already in like Flint, so it's good. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to be the grieving widow, and, I'll let my kids find the will, and everything will be hunky-dory.
Everything will be hunky-dory. Okay. And the last question, and most important one, where were you when the murder took place? I mean, because, we know you done it, but you really didn't do it. So for folks trying to figure out, okay, well, who done it? Where were you?
I was in the bathtub reading an Agatha Christie novel.
I love it. That's so iconic.
And I had a cup of tea with me, liberally spiked with rye whiskey.
Ooh,
right?
I love it. So iconic. Colleen, thank you so much for playing my silly game.
It was really very fun.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So let's get into your writing life. I know you said you did some research earlier for Mallowan Hall. To me, the best idea of research is reading Agatha Christie novels. But how long did it take for you to pull this novel together along with, your series outline? What was your behind the scenes process?
Well, I'm a kind of the person who writes to discover, so I don't plot out at all my plots or my stories, which I don't recommend, but it's the way I work, and I can't seem to get around it. So basically, when the idea was presented to me, I immediately started thinking about, what time period I would want to set this series in. So I had to do some research on Agatha Christie's life. And of course, she was married to Archie Christie. That marriage ended badly in the late 20s. And there's, of course, many people know about her, strange disappearance for 11 days related to that whole, demolishing of their marriage. So, of course, I didn't want to set the book in that time period. And I didn't want to set it after World War II. So I ended up in the 1930s where she had just gotten married to Max and they were very happy and living in this, my fictional home. And so I had to figure out where in her lifetime I was going to set this series. And then I had to figure out what it was like living on a large Downton Abbey size/style of estate during the 30s, the late 20s and early 30s. Again, it's a fictional home, so I kind of gave it all the bells and whistles I wanted. I figured, why not go for it? So it has a large staff. I did a lot of research on the staffing of these estates and who did what and whose responsibility was what. And so all of that kind of fell into, what it was like to set up this setting. And then, of course, as you mentioned, I got to reread a lot of Christie's novels that I had enjoyed when I was younger and ones that I never read, because I was wanting to put in some little Easter eggs and some references and some kind of hints about some of her books, because the entire staff at Mallowan Hall reads Agatha Christie, of course. So they're all talking about murders and mysteries and how to kill people all the time.
All the time, for sure. So you have, like I said in your intro, you've written many novels across many different genres. Looking back now, I guess I would say, if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? Just
keep writing and write things that you love rather than writing things that you're trying to, follow the market. And, write every day. Like when I first started out, I was working full time and I had 3 young children and I would write 500 words every single night before I went to bed. And that was how I ended up getting my first few books written before. They didn't get published, but that's how I ended up getting into the mode of writing. So definitely just do it. It's like Nike. You just have to do it.
Just do it. Mm. And we know Murder at Mallowan Hall is a first book in a series. So where are you with this series? Where are you on future books? What can we expect? Can you tell us anything? I'm basically digging for early information here.
Well, I just turned the second book into my editor. And I'm waiting to get feedback on that. We don't have a title for it yet, but it should be out about a year from now, so late October 2022. That book takes place during a murder fete meaning F-E-T-E, as in an English sort of sounding fair or festival, where we have Agatha Christie and some of her writing colleagues are visiting the small town of Listley, and one of the amateur writers who's attending the conference, or it's really more of a fair, ends up dead.
Wow. Awesome. I can't wait.
I had a lot of fun working on it. It was really a fun book, especially with a lot of references to writing murder mystery novels. When you have a bunch of detective writers who are involved or, witnessing a murder themselves, you can do a lot of I hope it turns out funny. I tried to be, amusing. We'll see what everybody else thinks. I chuckled a few times. I don't know about if anybody else will.
Well, I love the first book. Can't wait to dive into the second book. And yeah, I'm very excited about this new series. I'm happy it happened. So yeah, definitely looking forward to more books.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is an on-the-fly game because we're getting into your reading life right now. And while I want to know what you're reading first, I'm still stuck on the Agatha Christie of it all. So I guess I'm going to call this game, How Well Do You Know Agatha Christie?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Are you ready?
Oh, gosh, yes. All right.
Okay.
I'm not going to mess this up. Oh, dear.
Let's try. Where was Agatha Christie born? Like, what country?
England.
Okay. True or false? Christie's parents encouraged her to read and write at a young age.
True.
Actually, that's false.
What?
Yes, her mother didn't want her to learn to read until later, and she taught herself to read.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, see, I'm going to excuse my ignorance because I really only focused on her adult life, but I do know her sister definitely encouraged her. I know that. So maybe that's my excuse for getting that mixed up.
No, you're good. Okay. What was Christie's first published novel?
The Mysterious Affair at Styles, 1920.
Yes, you even got the year right. That was definitely her first novel, although I heard she published like short stories. Not published, she had poems and stuff written before this time. So that was quite interesting to learn. Okay, so which Christie character was featured in The Mysterious Affair at Styles?
Hercule Poirot, my absolute favorite Christie detective.
Oh my gosh. And guess whose favorite he is as well? He's also Phillida's favorite.
He loved those mustaches.
Yes. I just found it so funny. I remember there was like this quote in the book somewhere about her not being able to find a man who meets like the standards of Hercule Poirot died.
Oh, he's just such a gentleman. And he's such a romantic. Poirot is such a romantic. I just love that about him. And, Christie didn't like him. She kind of got annoyed with Poirot and really was like, thought he was like a real pain in the butt.
I loved him though.
Yes, me too.
Okay, this is personal, but who knows? What was the name of Christie's only child?
Rosalind.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know that. Like, I had to look that one up.
And their dog was Peter.
Yes. Okay, true or false?
Oh boy.
Agatha Christie was kidnapped in 1926. See, I have questions about that one.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of alluded to it a bit earlier.
Yeah, she was not kidnapped as far as we know. She disappeared of her own volition and, never really explained what happened. And just a little side note, in my mind, I think my darling Phillida knows kind of what really happened. And she's probably the only person in the world who does. And that explains her relationship, her very unusual relationship with Agatha. I think Agatha probably knows something about Phillida too. But so Agatha was not kidnapped. She just disappeared for 11 days and they found her later. She had signed in at a hotel under her soon-to-be ex-husband's lover's name. So there was a lot of question around this, and the press just hounded her for years and years and years about that whole event.
I was just thinking to myself, like, what would I do if I were her? Kind of finding out, he's having an affair and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm gonna follow in her footsteps and check in at a spa, a hotel, whatever.
Yes, it's either that or kill the woman. She's a murder mystery writer, right?
Yes, I know. It's just, But yeah, I know there were a bunch of questions swirling about, was she kidnapped? Did she disappear? Okay, last one. What year did Agatha Christie die?
Oh, gosh. I think it was late 70s. Gosh, I actually don't remember. I'm not that far in my research.
I didn't know this one either. I got it wrong on my first guess, but she died in 76. She was 85 years old.
All right, I wasn't too far off. That's good.
No. Ooh, bonus question, because I was just asking you about writing and your writing process. Did you know how long did it take for Agatha to write each book?
I don't know. Do you? I'm interested.
I Googled because I always ask authors about their writing. And again, because, this is kind of Agatha Christie centric, I was like, wait, how long did she take to write her books? And they said, again, I don't know if it's true, but they said she spent 3 months writing each book, though she often spent months dreaming up the plot prior to writing. So technically the book's in her head for a while. And then when she starts writing, it takes her 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may have read about her notebooks. She was famous for just like grabbing whatever notebook she could find. She would take her daughter's notebook sometimes and just jot things down. And the notebooks aren't in any order or organized at all. Like might be a notebook that has, information about 5 different novels out of order, different detectives, and then another notebook might have information about them. So it was kind of she was always thinking about things ahead of time and jotting things down. And in fact, that little notebook element is used in Murder at Mallowan Hall.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes, I actually remember that for sure. All right. Well, thanks as always for playing my silly games.
I love your games. They're very creative.
Yay! I'm thrilled to hear. Okay, so let's get into your reading life. I mean, we're here to talk about Murder at Mallowan Hall, and obviously I'm diving deep into Agatha Christie, but we want to know about your reading life, Colleen. So share with us, the last book or books that you finished reading that you'd now recommend.
Well, I just finished reading probably the 4th or 5th book in the Timber Creek Canine Mystery series by Margaret Mitsushima, which is contemporary. Even though I write historical mystery, I really enjoy it because it features a German Shepherd dog who's a canine, and I have had German Shepherds for years, so I love that. I'm actually queued up to start reading the next Lady Darby book from Anna Lee Huber any day now. I have it queued up as a reward for me at the end of this week. And then I just finished reading J.D. Robb's Forgotten in Death. And I also just finished Counterfeit Lady, I think is the title of it, by Victoria Thompson.
Are there any books you're looking forward to reading in the year ahead? Anything you're looking forward to?
Well, the next book in any of those series that I just mentioned, and also Alyssa Maxwell's Lady and Lady's Maid series, the new book coming out there. And Ashley Weaver has a fabulous series with a safe breaker. Set in World War II, and her second book comes out in the spring. So both of those, I'm sorry, I don't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's the Electra series, I think. So yes, I still am able to read quite a bit, and I appreciate being able to do that. And I am rereading Agatha Christie's, so enjoying those as well.
Amazing. So we're big supporters here as well for local bookstores. We ask all our guests on the show. So of course, I'm asking you to share with our listeners some of your favorite local indie bookstores. They could be childhood favorites. They could be in your backyard, maybe something you discovered on your travels, but I would love to hear some of your faves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in Michigan, and there's a wonderful kind of a new little bookstore in Brighton, Michigan called Two Dandelions. And it's 2 with the number 2. They write their name with that. And it was started in just before COVID, the COVID pandemic. In November of 2019, they opened their doors, and it was 2 longtime best friends who had been kindergarten teachers, and they opened this beautiful little bookstore, and it has done so well. And it's just a beautiful store. It's so light and airy, and it's very yellow, and it's heavy on the children's books because of their background, but it's heavy on everything you want. And the women who own it and run it are fantastic. Then the other indie bookstores that I really love here in Michigan are Schuler's and Nicola's, who are owned by the same company now. Fantastic indie bookstores in Ann Arbor. Nicola's is in Ann Arbor, and Schuler's is in Okemos and in Grand Rapids. And they're so welcoming to authors. Their bookshops are so light and airy, and they're so welcoming. One of them even has a fireplace. So definitely recommend Two Dandelions, Schuler's, and Nicola's here in Michigan.
Awesome. Amazing. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so getting back to Murder at Mallowan Hall, I mean, again, your book's out there. Readers can get their hands on a copy. I know you've seen some early reviews out there and thoughts. And, you've done your job as an author. You've given us the book, so it's now up to us readers. But, how do you want readers to feel, I guess, after reading this book? What are some of the reactions you're hoping for, or just some thoughts you're hoping readers might have?
Well, ultimately, I hope that they feel satisfied, that they close the book with a smile on their face, thinking this was an intriguing story. The mystery was, I didn't figure it out too soon. I don't like it when the reader figures out who done it too soon. I don't like them to figure it out till the end, but I'll take it if they figure it out in the middle. I want people to feel satisfied. I want them to feel that they were amused and entertained and mainly just ready for the next book. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's what I hope. People want the next book and want to see more about Phyllida and Dobble and Mrs. Puffley and everybody at Mallowan Hall.
If you could use 3 words to describe Murder at Mallowan Hall, what would it be?
My words would be charming, witty, and interesting, I think.
Well, I do think it's charming and witty, definitely interested, and I'm ready for the second book, so I can't wait. Colleen, thank you so much for coming on the show and speaking with me. It was just an absolute pleasure, and thanks for playing the fun games.
Oh, Victoria, this was so much fun. And again, your games were very creative. I enjoyed it very much. One of the most fun interviews I've done, so I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yay! Readers, I had so much fun with author Colleen Cambridge, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank her again for coming and lounging on the couch with us. This week is another great week for books and so many authors out there. There'll be tons of books gracing bookshelves on Tuesday, November 2nd, but today I'm going to spotlight 15 new and noteworthy titles for you to keep on your radar. If you're in the market for some literary fiction, there's Burnt Coat by Sarah Hall. If you're looking for some thrillers, mysteries, and suspense novels, out this week is The Collective by Alison Galen and All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. For fantasy, sci-fi, and horror readers, new this week is God of Mercy by Ozeki Noka, The Perishing by Natasha Dion, and A Marvelous Light by Freya Marksky. If you're looking for books with themes of family and friendship, out this week is The Family by Naomi Krupitsky, Our Country Friends by Gary Steingart, The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak, and The Surrogate by Tony Hallen. If you're looking for some historical fiction, new this week is Still Life by Sarah Winman, and The French Gift by Kirsty Manning. If you're looking for some romance novels and just some overall feel-good reads, new this week is The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams, A Certain Appeal by Vanessa King, and How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days by K.M. Jackson. You can find a list with all these books and their summaries along with the show notes over at thereaderscouch.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Reader's Couch. You can find out more about the show and submit your questions for our guest by visiting our website, thereaderscouch.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Couch is Booked. If you like the show, please subscribe, share, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Next week, I'll be back with new guests, more books, and some fun games we can play. But until then, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.